Daily Manna from the Torah by Dr. Ketriel Blad. Shalom everyone, we've come to the fifth aliyah of Parashat Noach, Comfort. We find today's aliyah in Genesis chapter 9 from verse 8 to verse 17. Today's reading will take place in verses 12 and 13. And God said, "This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth." What are the implications that the covenant between the Eternal and Noach have nowadays? A covenant is the strongest bond between two or more parties. In a covenant, there are privileges and conditions for all the parties involved. After the flood, the Eternal established a covenant with Noach and his descendants, including all future generations. All men are the offspring of Noach, so this covenant applies to all humankind. Further on, the Eternal made several other covenants with the children of Israel. However, it's important to remember that a latter covenant cannot revoke a previous one. In the covenant with Noach, there is a blessing for all mankind. Chapter 9, verse 1. The Eternal committed himself to protect the children of Noach, so there will never be a flood upon the earth again. The sign of the covenant is the rainbow. The conditions of the covenant for Noach and his children have been decoded by the rabbis through logical deduction of this and other passages. They are known as the 7 Noachide laws or laws of Noach, and they are the same number as the colors of the rainbow. These 7 laws are the main rules, and they are mandatory for all sons of men for all generations. They are the following. Number 1, prohibition of idolatry. 2, prohibition of blasphemy. 3, prohibition of murder. 4, prohibition of fornication, illicit sexual intercourse. 5, prohibition of theft. 6, prohibition of eating blood or flesh taken from an animal while it's still alive. And 7, requirement to have law courts that regulate mankind's behavior according to the first 6 laws. The Eternal didn't grant men permission to eat animals until after the flood. When the scriptures refer to clean and unclean animals before the flood, it doesn't mean animals that were meant to be eaten or not, but ritually clean animals that could be offered to the Eternal. In Genesis 9:3, we see that the Eternal gave Noach and his children permission to eat all kinds of animals with no distinction between clean and unclean. Further on, when the people of Israel were set apart from the rest of the nations to become a priestly nation for the rest of the nations, he restricted the animals that they would be allowed to eat. Thus, for the children of Israel, there are different dietary laws compared to those for the rest of the nations. A son of Noach can eat all kinds of animals, but the children of Israel cannot eat ritually unclean animals. Dear disciple of Yeshua, commit yourself not only to fulfill these rules given through the covenant with Noach, but to teach them to others because they apply to all mankind. In this way, you will contribute towards the betterment of the world. May the Eternal grant you strength to be faithful. Shalom.